If you listen closely, you can hear the sounds of the Project Pabst Citywide Festival blazing outside that door. But in here, it's just me and James Alex. And like a little... We found a nook of the Electric Factory. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, thanks so much for taking some time. This is cool. I mean, you're a Philadelphian. We didn't have, like, big beer festivals. And now we have, like, Budweiser on the Parkway and Pabst at the Factory. And it's all kinds of cool stuff now.
Yeah. It's pretty great. I like beer. I like rock and roll. So it's pretty cool to be invited to do this today.
Yeah, and it's cool too that like we're at a point now in Philadelphia where we're having these big cool festivals, and it's Philadelphia bands, and it's not like we're just homers about it. It's like this is the thing right now. Like Hop Along and Beach Slang, like these are like bands that people care about all around the country, and it makes me proud as a Philadelphian. I don't know about you as far as the whole scene right now. Just is awesome.
Yeah, right on. Well, I think that's the thing that's I think that's the reason we have a thing happening here now, is we sort of all genuinely care about each other, right? We sort of move as a gang. We're not trying to be like, there's not a strive for like me first, right? It's sort of like, I think we dig the idea of moving the city forward, you know?
Tell me about the last year, because I feel like it was like almost a year ago that somebody was like, hey man, you should check out Beach Slang, like they're going to be a thing. And then boom, it became a thing. Like it feels whirlwind. Like what's it like being inside of it?
Yeah, I guess it's a little different inside of it, but it has just been like non-stop grind. I mean, we haven't really been home and all that stuff, but I think when you're in it, you're just sort of lost in that really lovely swirl, right? But then say we get like a week off, and we'll sort of step back and be like, oh man, I guess we've got a little something going.
Something's working.
Yeah, but like I guess inside of it, we're just so focused on working and trying to like make sure it stays on the rails and we don't blow it, that I think we have a weird perspective being inside of it. But when we get to step back, we sort of are like, wow, okay. Yeah.
What's the moment that you were like, oh man, this is working, like things are happening?
Yeah, I suppose it was when shows started to have sort of the sing back factor. I was like, that's that thing you sort of, I don't know, when you start playing guitar, you sort of daydream about happening, and then it sort of does, and you're like, oh man,
cool.
Here it is. This is the thing you sort of wait for and hope, So yeah, I think when that sing back thing started to happen, I was like, and it wasn't just our friends, I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know everybody in the audience. Like something's starting to sort of tick,
I'd read a lot about this new album, Loud Bash Teenage Feelings, which just came out like 2 weeks ago, and about how much of it, so many people responded to that first album in such a ferocious way of like tattooing lyrics on their arm and like all these great stories, and like I guess a lot of these people, a lot of kids too, like shared these stories with you and like how important the music was to them, and a lot of that went into this album and the way that you wrote this album.
Yeah, for sure it did. Like, yeah, I referred to the songs on the first record as like 2-minute novels about me and my friends and the things we did, but with this one I was just meeting people all the time, touring as much as I said we were, and just, I don't know, I'm a really open, honest writer in Beach Slang, and I think in that people find it really easy or comforting to be able to open up to me. So I was just getting sort of inundated in these really beautiful, open, brave kind of narratives from people, and I just wanted to, because I've always said, it's not about me, it's not about Beach Slang, it's about all of us, we really are. I refer to us like a gang of romantics, And I just, like, I wanted to sort of put my money where my mouth is, as it were, and like really write their stories in a way that did right by them.
Was there one in particular, like when you sat down with that idea and go, okay, I want to be reflective of these people that have come along on this journey with me? Was there one story like in particular where that was like, and this is point A, this is where I start with that?
Yeah, the first time I sat down and I was I'm going to write something very specific, was it's for the song War Paint. It's the last song on the record, and I was like, it was just about a dear friend, somebody I've gotten to love, over the course of the last year, 2 years, and she just felt like she wasn't worth sticking around for, and I just wanted to write something that said, you are, and I love you, and if you're thinking that again, call me so I can remind you need to be here. So I really, really bled myself into that, because I didn't want to have the bravado to think I could write something like that if I wasn't really going to make it count. And then when I first played it for her, she sort of cried and hugged me and did all that, and I was like, okay, maybe I did okay by her, So, but that was really the first That was the real first, yeah.
I think because of the sincerity of beach slang, like I read headlines. There was one this morning about, for beach slang, rock and roll is oxygen, and you see things like that where, because it's so emotional and so powerful. Is it like that for you? Like, do you feel like this is something I have to do? Like, I have to bleed this on stage and on paper?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
It's like an all or nothing proposition. I mean, we always talk about like we only have one gear, and it's like all the way. I just like. I don't know, life's a real weirdo thing, and I just like, you rarely get a thing that makes you feel so put together, and I guess rock and roll's always been that for me, so I feel like I want to do right by it, right? So, yeah, I write every day, listen to records all the time, sort of like, I'm a real rock and roll historian nerd, like always trying to like, just turn people on to things. It's just, it's been a really... coming up feeling really lost and sort of displaced, it gave me an anchoring.
Coming up through Philadelphia, is there a moment or a show or like seeing something in the scene that you remember that made you kind of love music as much as you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty documented. Like, the first show I ever saw, I got to see the Ramones, and...
Was that here in Philadelphia?
It wasn't. It was in the suburbs, okay. So like just a bit outside. But that was a real kind of trigger moment for me, where it was like, it was that deal. I think in the way I see myself now, where it was like I walked in and I was just this like little nothing kid, and it just, when they came on, it was just like a hurricane, right? It was just, the place went crazy. And, people are getting knocked down, and I just see these big punks picking them back up, and it's the pat on the backs, and it felt so communal.
Right.
And I was like those older punks I saw then were sort of this like, I just revered them, and I think now that I'm older and I'm sort of, maybe I'm in that position, it's like I think of them and it's almost like kind of doing right by your mentor or something. I want to like sort of pay forward the thing they did for me. But that was a real moment for me. It was like, it almost became like it was bigger than music. It became the culture of music, became this thing I wanted to be inside of.
There's this other idea with you and with beach slang of you become a poster child too for people like never giving up on the rock and roll dream. Like I've seen some things about that, because like it broke for you like not at 20, like it broke for you at 40 something, and like things are working out, and like you had been in bands before, and I've always wondered that, like what happened between, I mean, you did the Weston thing for a while, and then like you kind of went away for a little bit, and then beach slang hits, and beach slang's awesome and becomes a thing. Like what was the time in between?
Yeah, I just like I went back to art school, did that. So like I was always working on songwriting, but just sort of resigned myself to, I'm just going to be just private. I'm just going to really, really take the craft of writing, trying to find that sound in your head. Like I'm going to try to do that first. But then I was like, okay, but I have to keep the lights on, right? So I was like, well, if I can't do it with my guitar, art school made perfect sense, because I was, you're making flyers and stuff when you're in bands. So I moved to Philadelphia to go to art school and then just stayed, right? And then I was being a graphic designer in the city, had an agency, and like completely digging that life. But then I was stockpiling these songs, and then like when I remember writing the first song for the first EP, and when that song came out of me, I was like, it really was that cliched eureka moment where I was like, that's the thing I'd been sort of hunting for. And when I got that, and then I played those demos for a couple of friends, and they were like, you need to record these, like they need to exist somewhere. So that's how we thought of beach slang at first, where it was really just, beach slang was just sort of this name given to like these songs I wrote that were just going to exist as a recording project. But then we put that EP out, and when it sort of connected,
sat up and took notice.
Yeah, it was kind of like, okay, I don't want to have this conversation with myself when I'm 80. Like I wish I would have chased that thing all the way. So we were like, I guess we're going to be a real band, So then we just, it was accelerator all the way down, and we just haven't let up.
It's like no other band that I've talked to where you have these kids that are writing lyrics on their arms, and you're connected to them so much that you kind of dedicate a writing process to them on a new album. And then at the same time, you have these 45-year-old dads in Horsham that are like, I should pick my guitar back up. Like I should do this. That's an awesome kind of sweet spot to be in.
It really is. And that was like one of the really beautiful sort of side effects that came from this, would be like peers of mine coming up to me and being like, I pulled the guitar out of the closet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Cool.
And I was just like, yes, like, because that was absolutely one of my earliest messages. It's like, you don't have to retire from being alive at 35. At 45, you might need that guitar more than you needed it at 17, right? So it's like, don't forget the stuff, not only the stuff that keeps you alive, but like the stuff that makes you feel alive, right? And I think I got lucky enough that sort of message cut through, and I really, really am glad about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Well, look, there's PBRs to drink and sets to play, so I'm going to let you go. But here at the Pabst Citywide Festival here in Philadelphia, Alex of Beach Slang. Thanks so much for the time, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.